Here's my understanding of statins. They decrease the number of cardiovascular events from 3 to 2 out of 100. Now, that's a 33% drop in cardiovascular events. It's a cute number to quote. But that means that 97 people took the statin for nothing. Yeah. Right. And there are side effects. I know that when I took Lipitor, every second night, not the first night, second night, I would get a cramp in the middle of the night. It would wake me up. So I had to get off it. Then I went on simvastatin. Then I got off my statins. And I just changed the way that I eat. And I have this debate with my wife all the time. Why can't we have pizza? Why can't we have a hamburger? And I say, look, you can have whatever you want. But I've done enough research now to know you're going to have to pay the piper. You know the story of the piper of Hamelin? It's all about paying the piper. You can pay him now or you can pay him later. But you're going to pay the piper. And I decided I'm going to pay the piper now. I'm going to stop eating the pizza and the ice cream and the hamburgers, and I'm going to live, hopefully, a healthier life, and I hope I don't get hit by a car when I leave today. Hospital,
well,
yes.
I was on a diet. I'm not a big meat eater. I'm not all the right things. I couldn't lower my cholesterol.
Right.
Okay, so I'm on cholesterol.
She said that she did everything right, but the cholesterol wouldn't come down. There are some people that have familial hypercholesteremia.
Well, my doctor said I'm manufacturing my own cholesterol.
No, everybody manufactures their own
Okay,
cholesterol. That's what the liver does. Right.
Mine is higher. So I'm on Lipitor, and thank God, I've had, no effects from it. I've been on it for many years.
Right.
You can't just put a blanket thing that cholesterol is no good for everybody. It's no good.
Right.
Everybody's body is different.
Yeah, but
right?
here's the reality. We don't know that even if your cholesterol was high, that's going to change anything in your health. The doctors don't know because when they do these studies, they don't have that person who is perfectly healthy, exercises, eats properly, doesn't eat meat.
But nobody does, right?
Nobody does.
We're all not perfect.
Right, so we don't know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I cannot poo-poo statins and say, everybody on statin, DC it right away. We know there have been benefits from statins. We know there's decreased cardiovascular events. What I do know at the same time is that there are millions of Americans taking statins without benefit.
Okay, but we're not going to get out of this life alive, right?
As Groucho Marx said, okay, I'm going to do everything to live forever or die trying.
There you go.
Yes.
What do you think about taking CoQ10 if you are on a statin?
So again, it's the same thing. Some people on statins deplete their CoQ10. There's plenty of people in America on statins who don't take CoQ10, who don't seem to have any issue. Okay? So we know that you do deplete CoQ10 on some statins for some people and other people not.
How would you know if
I actually don't know the answer to that. There probably is a blood test for it. And when you get older, by the way, most people switch from CoQ10 to something called ubiquinol.
Ubiquinol, yeah.
Ubiquinol.
Yeah.
But again, there's no definitive. I mean, your cardiologist is probably better suited than me to answer these specific questions. Yes?
It's interesting. I mean, every point you make is well made. I mean, in fact, as a perfect example, I'm much younger than the general audience, but I exercise, I eat well, I do everything I think that I can. And I was surprised the other day after playing tennis, I was short of breath, and I was lightheaded. I went to the doctor, told me I had high blood pressure. And I'm like, how is it I'm not obese, I don't have any of the symptoms, or not the symptoms, but the markers, or whatever you call them, that would cause these things. And now, the coverall, it seems like hereditary. Now, admittedly, my parents may have had these things, but is that really, am I cursed because of my parents' genes?
So our first lecture, which was the role of genetics in longevity, said that based on the study of twins in Sweden, 25,000 sets of twins, they by and large, on an average, figured out that genetics is about 30% of the equation, and that 70% is environmental factors. So the answer is, you may have, in fact, what they found in a recent study of centenarians that just came out in the last week is that while many of them had the genes for disease, they also had a gene that protected them from disease. Okay? So it's not like they had no genes for disease. So you may have a problem, genetic predisposition for genetics to have high blood pressure, but I encourage you to keep up the healthy lifestyle, because take a genetic predisposition to high blood pressure and an unhealthy lifestyle, and you are looking at a unmitigated early disaster in life. Yes?
About diet and exercise for blood pressure and cholesterol, I think the American Heart Association does not give appropriate information. because I was on their diet for years to try to lower my cholesterol, nothing happened. And then I read people like Furman and Esfio and,
Esseltine.
thank you, and I read the China study and changed my diet dramatically. My cholesterol came down 20 points. On
Listen,
just that.
diet
So-
will have a diet, not dieting.
No,
Okay,
no,
let's
the diet that the American Heart Association
recommends.
is not sufficient.
Right, because the thinking of the American Heart Association, in fact, I have this huge debate about Dr. Oz all the time with my wife, okay? Is Dr. Oz doing a good thing or a bad thing? Does he help more than he hurts? And some people say, look, he helps because he's sensitizing and educating people about health issues. I think, and I can't give you a definitive answer until I watch all his shows to know the body of evidence, but I also think he's giving a lot of very populist approaches, similar to the American Heart Association. They don't want to tell you the absolute because you ignore them and they become irrelevant. So they give you a halfway. Like Dr. Oz recommending in a magazine article that you should eat reduced sugar, reduced fat ice cream. Okay? Preposterous. Preposterous. Okay? And when I wrote a comment on the article on the website, people attacked my comment saying, Dr. Charlap, you're off base. Weight Watchers has many healthy desserts, which is what led me to go into a Weight Watchers a couple of weeks ago and look at the ingredients on their desserts to realize, in my opinion, it's garbage. It's garbage. I don't care how much weight you lose.
They want it. They want to eat. You can't change with logic what wasn't put there with logic to start with. They want what they want.
I understand, but the point of the matter is, I am interested in giving people the best information and then letting people do what they want with the best available information. I would not have a TV show and invite Weight Watchers to be the main part of my TV show, as I understand was on Dr. Oz yesterday or the day before. Okay? Yes.
So then you probably think Dr. Ornish's program is great. The only thing is.
I had an argument with Dr. Ornish.
People that can stay with it is very low.
Right, so I had a big argument with Dr. Ornish on the phone when I went to the Cleveland Clinic. He called in. And we had an argument that Dr. Ornish convinced Medicare to put a program into place called intensive cardiac rehab. Well, they will pay $70 for up to 72 visits, but only if you've had a heart attack or a stent or you've had some terrible cardiovascular event. And there's a 20% copayment. So he will get paid $5,000 and the patient would have to pay out of pocket $1,000 to help somebody who's already completely screwed up. Now, why did Medicare approve it? Because there were over 100 studies that show that it actually works. So that's encouraging to know that even when you're screwed up, interventions can help. But I say take a fraction of that money and apply it to the front end of the process and help people avoid these problems in the first place. So we had an argument because the Cleveland Clinic's Lifestyle 180 program is based on helping people who already have serious problems. And my philosophy is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
See, this was always the Chinese concept, that you paid the doctor to keep you well.
Right.
not to get
Well, I don't know that per se, but it sounds good.
Right.
Yes.
I've been on Plavix since my heart surgery 3 years ago. Some people say you get off Plavix after 2 years. What's your opinion?
I would really have to have a very detailed history because once you get on anticoagulants, it's one of the hardest drugs to get off because no doctor in his right mind will want to take you off an anticoagulant because if you get a clot, that doctor's career is over. Okay? So, and while I'm not beholden to anybody because fortunately I made my fortune so I can do this as a labor of love. This is mostly an altruistic endeavor for me. Nevertheless, I don't want to be sued. So, nobody wants to do that. Yes?
You're talking about this kind of, it's like coronary, this kind of thing that, Alzheimer's coronary, like heart thing. But the question is, there's no guarantee if you do everything right, you still have, like, say, if my person doesn't have a heart condition and everything else, he still can have his problem.
Absolutely. Listen, as I tell people, my father lived to 81. He was a smoker, he had diabetes, had all these things. Most people say 81, that's pretty great for diabetes and smoking and whatnot. And okay, I think if he hadn't been a smoker and had diabetes and all the things, maybe he could have lived to 90. He wanted to live to 83, which is he called his second bar mitzvah. Apparently, if he had 70 and 13 years, 83, but he never made it. But I got to tell you, he had a couple of things in his life where an air conditioner fell out of a building window in Manhattan and landed at his feet. Okay, so yes, you could go and exercise and eat turmeric and do all these wonderful things, and there's suddenly you're driving down the highway and there's a car coming at you in the same lane. But that's not the way to live your life, okay? I happened to, a person to help build some cabinets, and this is a true story. His sister, Hispanic, actually converted to Judaism, interesting enough. She was in a house in Atlanta, minding her own business, when an Air Force jet crashed into the house, burned her from head to toe, and she got millions of dollars in a settlement, and and she continued to live her life. So yes, crazy things happen. But for most of us, you want to play the odds in your favor, okay? Play the odds in your favor. Do the things you can do to help yourself.
But then she still have, even though she didn't have a heart condition, she still had these problems. That's what you're saying, aren't you?
I'm saying that things happen, okay? Bad things sometimes happen. If I had more time, I'd tell you some stories from my psychiatric training where people came in and bad things. I'll tell you one quick story. I once went to take care, during my surgical residency, a patient in a psych ward. I didn't even know the psych ward was in this hospital. And I come there, and he had an ulcer on his leg. And he seemed like a normal guy, and I said, "Why are you here?" He said, "Well, I'm depressed." And I said, "Well, why are you depressed?" He said, "Well, I was with my wife and 2 children. I pulled over on the side of the road to go into the store. I came back, a truck ran over the car and killed them." Okay? I mean, that's a terrible story. And anybody would be depressed. And most people would probably be depressed for the rest of their lives. So bad things do happen. But to the extent that we can take control of our lives, it is incumbent upon us to take control. My mother just got to see her great-grandchild. And I don't think there can be anything more wonderful or meaningful in life than to meet your great-grandchildren. So if you want to have a shot, a chance, to meet your great-grandchild or great-grandchildren. Of course, if you don't have children, that would be very difficult. But if you have children, okay, and you want to have a shot, then taking care of yourself now increases the probability of that happening. Yes?
Have you heard of this new website is called Breakthrough Alzheimer's?
I have not.
Okay, I just heard it on the radio yesterday, and my husband went on it last night, and they give you exercises to a certain amount of time, and then they're gonna charge you. I just wonder if you heard about it.
I didn't, but if you come to MDPrevent, we give you silver sneakers, pays us $3, and we charge $5 if you don't have silver sneakers. I'm practically giving away whatever service I can give away because I have a personal mission to put the nursing home industry out of business. Not because they're terrible people, not to demonize them, but because no human being should end up in a nursing home if it's a fate that can be avoided.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Okay, so stay healthy. Spread the word, okay? Let's stay healthy and avoid that fate. The longer you live, the healthier you've been. Yes?
Can Lipitor cause leg cramps?
It did in me, so absolutely. And if it does cause leg cramps, you need to switch to a different drug. Yes?
In what way does osteoporosis contribute to Alzheimer's?
It wasn't contributing, it was associated with it. What that chart showed was what percentage of Alzheimer's patients also had these syndromes, and osteoporosis was associated by that percentage. Okay, any other, yes? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal, it was a few years ago, but it was a study about statins and memory loss. Are there any current?
The current is statins do not prevent memory loss. It's a myth. Statins do not help against Alzheimer's, dementia, or otherwise. Yes?
Have you had any feedback from
Humana? Yes, somebody told me if we pay somebody $3,000, we can get on Humana. So I said, okay, we'll pay you $1,500. I haven't heard back. So it's almost like extortion here, okay? But Humana apparently, once they close their panel, they don't open it for another year, and so you have to go through the back doors to try to get connected with them. Yes.
Could you say the name of that drug or supplement for for osteoporosis?
Strontium,
Yes, could you spell?
strontium, strontium, Rainlate, Ranelate. All right, listen, I've seen a lot of you already in the office. I hope those who haven't come through will come through.